academics was caught making sexual comments towards a 15-year-old.
Yep, and all of that seemed to go away the second day he started going after Kendrick and going after Rock Nation. To which now he's changed his mind and he's backing down because Desiree Perez and them put strikes on him for promoting Pusha T's album after they asked him to, and now they're coming after his bread, so he's up and acting like a fool. You know, all of them seem to be doing a lot of little weird things, and then all they have to do is go out and do their Schluminati crash test dummy job. Like DJ Envy, his partner, the Fed charges for all of this stuff. And now he said, well, I didn't know what he was doing. No, you just introduced him to everybody and you told everybody in the world to get this liar and this thief and this criminal the money. And we supposed to think you didn't know what he was doing with it.
Right.
There's a lot of them that seem to be getting away with stuff. Ack, he got his issues. Charlemagne, what happened to his A minor case? See, you know, they all it's yeah. They go out on a dummy mission and it's like everybody forgets that they all scumbags.
This is where we're at now. It's crazy. It's
Is it the year of the rat? I don't know on the Chinese calendar. What I do know is that it's time for some really, really, really good people to step to the front because, like, we're losing, man. There's no role models here. There's no role models here. It's like I was looking at a content creator and it was so wild because this person did a short and it was little kids, like 3 and 4 years old. Like they
Mhm.
didn't look like they was much older than 5, and they had their middle fingers up, and they talking like, "Yeah, fuck yeah," and the little girl throwing up and all kinds of shit. And I'm sitting there waiting for the moment where she says, "Yo, where your mom at? It's time for you to go inside. Where your mom at? Where you live?" Because I know that's what I would have been doing if I seen little kids acting like that in the street. But no, they were sitting up there cheering them on and laughing.
Yeah.
That's cute. Let me see. You know, we got the girl who goes to she was working at McDonald's. She was being pressured by her roommate. She snapped, she get a kitchen knife, she go to work. Like she was on social media losing her mind for weeks.
Right. To document it.
Nobody thought to try to get her some help. Like everyone just sat there and watched. For crying out loud, there have been just in June alone, 4 YouTube content creators lost their lives.
Right.
And then people turned around and made that content. You want to know what one of the subscribers said about that bubbly and that finny person who died by the hands of the Manny? They actually said, well, I'm just going to keep watching their channels because it's like they never left. I'm just going to keep watching their channels.
What's your thoughts about Amber Rose?
I don't know. I don't know. But what I do hope is that she doesn't allow Ray Lando Brown to go down on her like she offered on that weirdo podcast, because as close as he was to Diddy, she might be blessed with some of the stuff that happens when you mess with the diddler, as we're finding out from the other sex workers that have been engaged. Like I could really care less about Amber Rose. I mean, she came out for a minute and she was truthing for Tory, and that got quiet real fast. I don't like when people clout chase justice or a moment or a movement. I really don't. She was sitting there on Shay Shay, convincing everybody, oh no, there were never any freak offs. That never happened. That never happened. That never happened. Everybody was that never happened. That never happened. That never happened. That never happened. Okay. Yeah, it never happened. That's why y'all was all so worried about it, huh?
Right. It seems like everything gets quiet real fast.
Oh
Like
yeah,
something happens and it gets quiet very fast.
real fast. Quieter than a church mouse pissing on cotton. And guess what? If that's how it's gonna be, they should get down on their knees and pray while they're there. Like it's just I feel bad for people. I feel bad for people that live by lies because what you live by is what you die by. It's just that simple. You know, and there really isn't any point in lying for it. You might end up dying for it. And I think people are about to figure out what the weight and the totality of their lives are going to be because when I saw that the judge wasn't giving Diddy bond and when I saw that his team laid down and decided they was going to wait for sentencing until October and all of that, like when I saw that happening, I'm like, okay, God's just warming up. He's just warming up. And I hope people are paying attention. You can't keep mocking God and thinking that he's not going to smack the dog shit out of you eventually. It's going to happen. Now, the question is everybody really worried about what the diddler's fate is? Or are they just worried about what their fate is going to be for dealing with the diddler? Because I'm telling you right now, these lawsuits aren't going to stop, and there's going to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I guarantee you, everybody around him that didn't really come to his aid, that didn't really step up for him, I got a feeling everybody's about to start having some legal issues.
Right. Um,
It's happening little by little.
it is. Tyler Perry lawsuit
Mm.
and the text messages that came out.
I'm still surprised that people who have watched that man run around in dresses for years and look more comfortable pretending to be an oversized woman than a real man in a suit. I'm surprised that everybody's so surprised. I'm surprised that if after everybody's seen the images of him laying hands on TD Jakes and TD Jakes chirking, twerking, and all of that, and just like I'm surprised that people are surprised. What I do know is this: everything that he's talking about, that new witness that's come forward, is the same kind of stuff that we were already talking about with Bad Boy, and it's kind of like the stuff that we're hearing about that's happening in the backdrop of a lot of these so-called rap companies or whatever the case may be. And I think people just really need to start paying attention to the fact that I keep telling y'all, everybody knows and everybody's in on it. Everyone. That's the only way it works. Everyone would have to be under the same control in order to get this evil machine to work. You couldn't take the chance. It's when you look at the amount of people that are used to gaslight a person's life in these scenarios, um, the lawyers that are hired, the lawyers that people are finding out that the lawyer that they hired to help them was actually working with the bad guy all along to get them to do this and to do like these people put a lot of time into orchestrating these things to hold this little weirdo secret society up. And if y'all think that they gonna let it go without a fight, then you're wrong. See, that's why I said, you know what? As much as I enjoy wearing my braids and the color and all of that, after I left the courthouse, I stripped down and said, it's time to go back to war. It's time to go back to war. It's time for me to just take it all the way back down to the natural again. Stay away, I need to be ready. I need to be push-up ready. I need to be sweatsuit ready
Right.
because this is a fight. And it's not just for justice, but it's for the truth. And It's for the preservation of something that's supposed to be special to all of us, and that's music. That's God's gift. Y'all know how I feel about this. Fighting to get a company, off of the ground so I can create an alternate space. But the truth is that's the last thing that they want, because if these people have an alternative, then what happens to their objective? They need it under complete control from the rudder to the tudder. And if y'all can't see after everything that we've found, that's what this is. It's absolute control. From the second that they get signed into their deals, their PR person is watching it, the stylist is on the take, the nutritionist is feeding them food, the this is everyone encroached. When I was listening to Demore and we were talking, during the interview, and she had gotten a job. She was working at Iconics during the pandemic. And her mom knew somebody there because she had lost her job. She was a social worker, and they lost their funding, so the whole thing went down. She was actually working with victims of torture and teleporting, which is why she was able to spot some of the nasty tricks that they were playing while she was working there at Iconics, because she was there for 3 years, and in those 3 years, they were watching her, trying to convince her to leave her relationship, forcing her to try to work late hours, trying to introduce her to other ball players and stuff, to entice her with this life. They doubled her salary to you know guarantee that she would have to spend more time away from them than it was. We want you to come and work at our house and meet these people and meet that people, and we want you to go. And she was like, I'm in a relationship, I have a partner, I do want to be able to go home, spend time with my man, spend time with my dog. And they kept on and kept on and kept on. And when they realized that the money wasn't going to be enough, they 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 created this whole fake scenario for her to sit down and talk with someone that was supposed to have been working for Nike in some kind of Nike ambassadorship or whatever for brand development, and instead she was the only person there. Turns out it was an unauthorized psych evaluation, because they was trying to find a way to prove that they could make her sound like she was crazy so her mother could put her in a hospital to get away from a man. That was her job.
Uh,
This is what her employers did to her because her mama threw out the bread. How nuts does that sound? But I understand it perfectly. I've had it happen to me. It was Jay French that sat there and begged me to meet with that company, View It, last year. You remember Joker? I
mhm.
introduced you to them. You
Yep.
remember all of the great plans and all of the great deals. Come to find out, Cuba Gooding Jr., Diddy Doo-Wop Lieutenant himself, who's also been MIA like Stevie J. Yeah, but this was the company. And they did all of this, and they devised all of this, and they put all of this together so that they could stop me from doing what I do, so they can find out who I was planning on interviewing. Somebody recently tried that again. My shoot at the courthouse,
Mm,
the director is a Rock Nation employee. He's worked for them. Why would I hire somebody that worked for Rock Nation to film anything for me?
right. Makes no sense.
What's even more interesting is the person that hired him to do it. And I take no pleasure in burning old school hip hop artists, but I think I'm going to be doing an exposure. I think it's time for people to find out exactly what kind of man Eric B really is. We already know what kind of man Wendy Williams thought he was. I just
Right.
want to know why you were running around chasing Jaguar Wright content, Eric B. From me in Vegas with Sofia, all the way to me going to the courthouse and you hire Zaire Baptiste, who did like he's worked with Rock Nation. Everyone knows that he's loyal to the Jigga Man. Why would he be filming anything for me? And why would you want all of that to stay secret? Because while you were only announcing yourself as Eric, you wanted to make sure that nobody knew that it was Eric B. Why not? Torchia's interference is a bitch. But y'all were very privy to the fact of everything that happened. And it was Jay French that introduced me to that company. Matter of fact, he insisted. I wasn't even all of that interested. I didn't like what they were doing with him. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for me, would anybody even know about his last project? I mean, I think it's fair to say at this point in time that he bought his way to #2 on the iTunes rap chart, right underneath Kanye. But I mean, it fell out of the sky like a falling star. And if it wasn't for me mentioning it right here on this couch in that interview, because it went all the way down to a what was it, 120 something, and then it popped back up to 62, and then it just disappeared again.
Mm.
I guess no one remembers that, huh? And he's the one that introduced me to this company that stalled me out, put me in a place where the lease was shaky and not legitimate, allowed stalkers from YouTube to take pictures of where we were living, to dox our location, like, and for Milton Bledsoe to call me on the day that Diddy was arrested and say, well, I guess you won after all, huh? And that's what me and Odell said. Yeah, we need to pack up. We need to get the out of here. They're about to send somebody for us. Like, to think that Jay French came into my life back in 2019 through Rob Ski, who was spying on me on behalf of Erica Badu for the Roots, so that they could go back to Jay-Z and see whether or not I was going to be a problem in Dallas. For him to come into my life at that time, pretending to be a supporter, pretending to be someone who cared after my son had been unalived. He brought me nothing but misery, and he brought me nothing but bad business. Matter of fact, what he brought to me after that had me in a bunch of crap and had me surrounded by somebody pretending to be loyal to Angie Stone, and all it was all of it led to the person, the Sharon person, who was impersonating me on YouTube, running around saying all kinds of crazy things, trying to convince people it was me so people would hate me when I walked away from online before I came back and sat with y'all. All of this stems from Jay French. Does that sound like somebody who was really down for me? And the only
Mm.
thing I ever did was look out for that boy. I wonder how many people would know who he is if it wasn't for me bigging him up throughout the years, especially here.
Right.
But see, this is the game. You know, the funny thing is, Jamal, I should have let you go with Khaled. I should have never said anything. When you said Khaled was sending that jet for you, I should have let you go so he could have put some of that special baby oil on you and you could have your own victim story. I told you to stay away from them. I told you how they played and I told you what they had it in for you. But I guess you really wasn't worried about that because you had it in for me. The lucky KBLA. I wish I had never introduced you. Poor them when they find out what they're really dealing with.
Right. Jack,
There's treachery everywhere, G. Treachery everywhere.
what can we expect for the rest of 2025?
More fires, more little fires everywhere. And I do believe there probably is going to be another arrest. Whether it's the same person or a new person, I'm not sure. But you know, the same person can be arrested more than once for different charges.
Right.
I don't want to say too much because I already know people are looking for something to hang on me, to put on me. I mean, me being put in that lawsuit, knowing that my name and those lies about my name ruined a real victim's lawsuit because Ashley Parham is a real victim. She was, and putting me in that case destroyed her. She should have been on that stand. People should have heard about what happened to her, what they did to her with that remote control. The diddler and Christina Corum allegedly, or at least that's what was in the lawsuit before it was devalued by putting me in it. They actually used me, as big an advocate as I've been, to destroy a real victim's case. I
Yeah.
truly doubt if Ashley Parham's testimony had been heard in that courtroom, that that jury would have been able to walk away from Rico or anything else. Her testimony alone would have sealed it all up. But see, they devalued that case and they did it all trying to stop a real victim from testifying against the diddler while they were trying to destroy my credibility and my name. I had just gotten the Defender of Freedom Award. I had just left Mar-a-Lago, and a week later, boom, it was all over YouTube, all over TMZ, all over everywhere. Jaguar Wright named in the Diddy case. Oh my God, listen to what she did. People reading those pages like it was real. It was Kadisha Lynn, and shout out to her that took the time to go and research my incarceration records and pull up Jaguar Wright was in Cook County Jail. She was incarcerated in Cook County Jail fighting another case. She wasn't there. She couldn't have done it. It's funny. Why don't nobody still talk about that case no more? Why did nobody actually do anything? No, because the only time they run hot to the presses is when it's to defame me.
Right.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that the only time? Do you know somebody actually has got some short film that they're doing on Diddy? There's an IMDb credit, just found it. Got me listed as the director. It's disgusting.
Jack, before we wrap up, I just gotta ask you one more question.
Sure.
Um, and this is your chance, because I'm sure he will see this. And this is, I just want you to just say what you would say to Diddy right now.
Take that. Take that. Take it all, bitch. Just like Cassie did. You earned it. Keep dancing. You know, people like him, sometimes they slip through the cracks. But just because you slip through a crack, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to have a soft landing. God has seen everything that he's done. And now the world has gotten a taste of some of the things that he's done. You know, all of those firearms that they confiscated, especially the ones with the serial numbers scrubbed off. I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be coming up soon in a superseding indictment, which will be very interesting considering that his legal team is already conceded to the fact that he's a very dangerous person and has very violent tendencies. It's a whole nother federal charge. And they picked up a lot. Yeah, yeah, that's about it.
Well, Jack, man, it's it's always a pleasure to sit down with you. I can't wait to hear more from you. I just thank you for taking this time out with us, man. We love you, and we're gonna continue to watch the rest of the trial and what happens to him, and we're gonna hear from you again.
Well, I'm around, and you know what we've done on this channel. It's created a lot of tension. It's created a lot of this and a lot of that. But what it has also done is created a lot of awareness. And
Right,
I don't care, for the naysayers and all of the weirdo content creators. There's not a time that I go out and people see me and they recognize me and they say, "You from the blue couch, oh my God, it's Jack, you're a hero." I was just talking to an artist the other day who said to me that I saved his life because he was about to sign a contract. And after listening to me, he knew that that's not what he wanted to do. He still has a desire to do music, but he's got to find another way because he's not going through that. And I know that's part of the reason why they hate me. Because whatever the hate and vitriol is that they sell online, trust me, that's not what it's like when I go out into the world. When I go out into the world, I meet nothing but people who talk to me about how my information has helped them make better choices, help save them, help get them to see things, put them in a better perspective. I've shown people the power of word when it comes with positive intention. And I hope that it spawns more people like me to come forward. And I hope more victims do come forward. I know everyone wants to, there were so many content creators that wanted me to be covering this story every day so that they could make their content about their reaction videos about me doing, which is why I didn't do it. Because it was too disrespectful, in my opinion, to due process and to the survivors and the victims. It was already going to be a media show and a circus. I was not going to add to it in any way. I just hate the fact that when I moved on to a story that I think is just as relevant, that I think somewhere along the way there may be a tie. You know, I'm a blood fucking hound. I just am, G.
right.
When I'm on something, I'm on something. And I'm not going to move around until I'm ready to move around. Ain't nobody going to move me off of it. And y'all know that about me,
Yep.
and I just all I can say to people is keep on believing in God, keep on believing in yourselves, and don't believe the hype because there's so much of it. But what I tell the people, especially over on my channel, the Jaguar Wright effect, and I'm about to start doing lectures via Zoom. So if anybody wants to come through there, please do, because we're going to be just sharing more history and more information. Information that's way too volatile to be trying to share here because it wouldn't last. But we're opening up a private Zoom room. We're actually doing the first one this coming Sunday, July 20th. So, we still have some spots available if anybody wants to get in. We're going to be talking about the boule, the history of the boule, and how do we get to the point where we see the need to stop making ditties. Um, I'm invested. This is my fight. This is the work that I do, uh, and this is where we are with it. But when I sit down, on my channel, Jaguar Wright Effect, and I'm there with them, I tell them all the time, we got to learn how to be miracles because God uses people to be miracles.
Right.
We got to learn how to steer into the crash. Just because something looks terrible, that doesn't mean that God can't take what we do, what you do, and use it for His good. We got to stop being afraid of thinking that the popular opinion is the only opinion. If you know something to be true in your heart, How many people got to tell a lie to get you to change your heart? I tell people all the time, a million people could tell the same lie. If I know what's true in my heart, it's not going to change anything. Not for me, but there's so many of us that public opinion, popular opinion sways what we believe. A lot of people, when I first started talking, would have never thought that what's happening now is happening. They told me years ago, there ain't nobody going to jail. That's never gonna happen. This, am I wrong, guys?
Right. They said that.
Yeah, she just talking. They ain't doing nothing. Ain't nothing happening. And it was all fine and well until Cassie dropped that lawsuit, and then that video came out.
Right. No one ever thought Diddy was ever going to jail. That
No,
wasn't it.
nobody ever thought he would be
Mhm.
raided, let
Right.
alone arrested, let alone held in jail with no bond. Like, I think people are really underselling how miraculous that has been for something that everyone thought was never going to happen to finally happen. Why does nobody want to take that into consideration?
Right.
And when something is happening that nobody thinks was ever going to happen, that everyone said it couldn't happen, that means God is moving. See,
I
that
would
means
agree.
God is doing his thing, period. So,
Well,
yeah.
mhm. Alrighty. Well, thank you for your time, Jag.
It's been an emotional journey, and the emotions ain't about to turn down. But what I can say is I do believe at the end of all of this, there's going to be a party.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to say, Jack was right.
They've been saying that. They're gonna have to come up with something different now. Yeah. Right.
So I just forget me being right. I know God's been right the whole way. And
Right.
that's where I live with it. That's all it is. So,
You always have a voice over here. So you count on that.
well, we here, we family, we in it.
We in it. Gotta see it through.
That's that's all that's left is through.
Right.
Ain't no around, ain't no backtracking. It's we gotta get there.
Real life.